delighted to welcome our next speaker, is Mr. Zoltán Šomоги. He's our brother from Hungary, and he is executive director of the World Tourism Organization, and he's been appointed for this position since January 1st, 2010. And Mr. Šomоgi is responsible for membership relations and services. So please, Mr. Šomоgi.
Thank you very much indeed for your kind words, Madam Chair. Your Excellencies, I'm absolutely confused, just to tell you, because I'm really your brother. I'm from Hungary, and the Hungarians are from the northern eastern part of Kazakhstan. I'm here at home to you. I'm also confused because I don't know which I wish to use, English, Russian, or German, because in the panel I had the chance to speak on 3 different languages. But I think for this speech I will choose the English one, and if you have, I hope you have any questions, I would be very delighted and happy to reply you in Russian or in English, however you wish. So that on behalf of the World Tourism Organization, representing tourism interests of 155 countries in the world, I have a great pleasure in welcoming you all to the panel session on public-private partnership in the investment field, held today in an amazing city of Astana in the framework of the 5th Astana Economic Forum. The holding of the Astana Economic Forum has become a good tradition for Kazakhstan, which every year surprises us with its explosive growth and an amazing socio-economic progress. Last time I was in Astana in October 2009, and I was happy to be elected here as the director of the UNWTO in the General Assembly when I will be here, and that's the city, that's why it's very important and kind for me. But then yesterday when I arrived, I could finally recognize the city with its newly built quarters, roads and modern buildings. This fact that the holding of a panel such dedicated tourism issues in the framework of the Astana Economic Forum has also become a tradition. Is yet another demonstration that the government of Kazakhstan has put the tourism sector as a top priority to its agenda. I'm very happy to report that I had the chance to meet this morning with the Minister, and yesterday with the Vice Minister, and I really saw that they are really very committed to develop and to invest in the tourism industry in Kazakhstan, which is very good news both for us and both for all of the stakeholders in this room, I think so. Kazakhstan boasts an enormous tourism potential based on its extensive geography, the different climatic zones, and the impressive landscapes, rich cultural and historical heritage, including renowned Silk Road monuments, living traditions, and the hospitality of the people inhabiting these lands. We note with satisfaction that Kazakhstan actively participates in the UNWTO Silk Road program and is represented in the International Silk Road Task Force of UNWTO, both by public sector, by the MTA, by the Ministry, and both by the private sector, by Jibek Jolly Company. My good friend Timur is here, and I would like to welcome him. And he was a long-time affiliate member of his origin and appreciated coordinator for us. And I was very happy to hear today in the opening speech of His Excellency Zoltán Nazarbayev that he was mentioning also the Silk Road. That shows the importance of the Silk Road brand, that even whenever you are doing a new development, it's called the new Silk Road. That's why it's good to use for us for tourism purposes also. Under the dynamic and wise leadership of President Zoltán Nazarbayev, Republic of Kazakhstan, is truly becoming a tourism center in Central Asia. Kazakhstan has been consistently utilizing its outstanding natural potential and cultural tourism resources into the development of competitive tourism products required by international and domestic markets. We in UNWTO are very proud to note that Kazakhstan attaches high importance to tourism development on a governmental level. Thus, President Zoltán Nazarbayev, in his speech 27th of January this year, addressed to the people of the Republic of Kazakhstan, refers to tourism as a sunrise industry, saying that in the developed countries, tourism accounts almost 10% of GDP, though in Kazakhstan, it accounts only for 1%. That's why it is crucially important to identify the tourism destinations to be further developed in the country and to have necessary support of the government. I am also very happy to report that yesterday when we had a meeting with the Vice Minister, I was informed that there are 4 special regional developments which are supported by the government of Kazakhstan, including the Caspian Sea, including central Kazakhstan, eastern Kazakhstan, and a potential ski center in the south city of Almaty, not far from Almaty. Today's meeting reconfirms again the firm and consistent commitment of the government of Kazakhstan to further develop tourism for the benefit of local populations and to further integrate the country into the international tourism community. Dear friends, let me take a few minutes to share with you how we at UNWTO look at the role of tourism. It's a central, global, social and economic phenomenon of the 21st century. Since the very beginning, tourism has come a long way. Let us for a minute look back only to 1950, when traveling outside of one's country was restricted to a small elite of wealthy people and the number of adventurers. When there was just 35 million international tourists discovering the world, when the majority of people of the world would spend their entire life never going beyond a 100-kilometer radius of the birthplace. 60 years later, today everything has been changed. This year we are celebrating a special milestone along the journey. By the end of this year, 2012, international tourist arrivals will reach 1 billion per year. 1 billion. And according to the UNWTO long-term forecast, tourism towards 2030, in 2030, this number will be up to 1.8 billion a year, which means 5 million tourist arrivals per day. Just imagine. Tourism is an important instrument of economic growth, job creation and development. International tourism currently accounts of 30% of the world's export of services. As a worldwide export category, tourism ranks fourth after fuels, chemicals and food, by ranking first in many developing countries. Tourism employs 1/4 of every 12 people worldwide. Tourism creates many jobs. Jobs in small and medium-sized enterprises, as well as work for the self-employed, jobs for the poor, jobs for the women, for indigenous communities, for unskilled as well as highly skilled people both. Thus in 2011, international tourism operations exceeded $1 trillion for the first time. In the real terms, receipts grew by 3.8%, together with 4.6% in the international tourist arrivals. According to the UNWTO Secretary General, Mr. Taleb defined, these are encouraging results. Yes, these are. Mr. Rifai says the past 2 years have shown healthy demand for international tourism out of many markets, even though economic recovery has been uneven. This is particularly important news for countries facing fiscal pressure and weak domestic consumption, where international tourism, a key export and a labor-intensive activity, is increasingly strategic to balancing external deficits and stimulating employment. However, there are a number of significant downsides that we have taken into account. As His Excellency Zoltán Szomoghi mentioned, we cannot deny the fears of recession across Europe, historically high unemployment, increased taxation, namely on the travel industry, and the political dynamics carry growing uncertainty. Yet it is well known that out of crisis come opportunities. The global economic crisis has revealed some of structural weaknesses of our sector, both within the private and the private-public realms. And the time is right to address these failings. What, as we can see, is well understood here in Kazakhstan. What has become clear is the need for strong, forward-looking national public policies and clear supportive framework for a more competitive, sustainable and responsible tourism industry. At the same time, it is critical to have a strong and cohesive private sector which continues leading the way in areas such as innovation and technology, adapting accordingly to new economic conditions and sustainability challenges. That's why it's good news for me that the tourism in this country belongs to the Ministry of Industry and New Technologies. And the innovation is maybe one of the most important in our profession, in our sector. Dear colleagues and friends, we have to come out of this crisis through addressing the structural needs and reinforcing public-private cooperation. There are many reasons why it makes sense for stakeholders to collaborate on delivering sustainable tourism. Collaboration may be seen as helping, on the one hand, to resolve differences and problems, and on the other hand, to take advantage of opportunities. A particular reason why collaboration is so relevant in tourism relates to the very large number of players, stakeholders, public and private, involved in the makeup of the sector and in the delivery of the tourist experience. It is highly fragmented industry. Often, the motive for multi-stakeholder collaboration is expressed quite generally. We can do it. Simply that the task of delivering sustainable tourism is too complex and there are too many stakeholders, so it is essential to work together. It's true, however, it's possible to determine a small number of different but related motives and reasons for collaboration and benefits that may be derived. Do not mind, I will enumerate some of them. First of all, to reflect multiple aims and agree common targets of the different stakeholders in the tourism sector. Second, to ensure inclusiveness and equity, one of the most important aspects. Third, to sharpen focus and coordinate action. As well as agreeing on common targets, collaboration can provide the means for coordinating delivery a common action program. It can help to focus the work of different players, generally reduce duplication and improve efficiency. Fourth, to raise awareness and engage those with power over outcomes. Tourism is a very complex sector. Many types of organizations are involved in its delivery and it can influence success. It is important that all those bodies who have the power and authority to influence the sector are aware of the needs and opportunities presented by tourism. Fifth, to link components in the value chain. A fundamental reason for collaboration is often the need simply to assemble and coordinate the different elements that make up a viable and sellable product. Sixth, to strengthen long-term support and commitment. Seven, to pool knowledge and skills. Knowledge sharing between groups of processes of mutual learning are very positive reasons for working together. This can be facilitated by capacity building activities delivered separately or jointly. 8. To strengthen resources and funding. It's clear that individual organizations may not have sufficient human or financial resources to deliver the action necessary to make a difference. That's why it's important to work together with the public sector. 9. To widen contacts and strengthen communication between all the stakeholders of the sector. 10. To add value and creativity. There are many examples of collaborative working which has stimulated ideas and led to more innovative and creative outputs. 11. To share cost and risks between different stakeholders of the tourism, between the state, the public and the private. And finally, to cross boundaries between bodies from different locations in the country and between the tourism and other parts of the economy and society, because we will never be successful without the support of the rest of society. Dear friends and colleagues, I have enumerated just a small part of the benefits that private and public cooperation can bring along to our sector. Though there are challenging times for the tourism industry, many experts believe that the intense competition and the shakeout in the industry will lead to improvements in professionalism. Industry structures with product development, with increased attention on diversification, branding, and sustainability strategies. In view of the above, public-private partnership is the cornerstone of smooth and efficient development of tourism as a key sector of the economic recovery. Maximizing tourism's contribution to economic growth, social development, environmental sustainability is only possible if we all join forces to position tourism higher in the political and economic agenda. I am confident that this event is a step forward in our common objectives. Ladies and gentlemen,